Hello ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Game Hub. I'm your host Gamer K, and it's time for the first video of March. And this one we're going back to a DLC review of an episode that I did before, going with episode 2, Tyranny of King Washington DLC from Assassin's Creed 3, The Betrayal. Now I want to correct something I made a mistake in my first one. It wasn't Pitcairn who ambushed us and took us to Boston. It was Putnam from Sequence 7, where we did fight Pitcairn. You know, that general who was a little eccentric a little bit. So, this episode opens up with us in Boston in a jail. Finding out, and getting a kind of a one-on-one with the King, Putnam, and Ben Franklin. And getting out may be a kind of a difficult situation, but not for this one. We use our wolf invisibility in order to trick the guards to thinking we escaped. They open the cage, and then we escape. Then we find our friend Ganondokon, who I think I'm pronouncing that name right. I'm not 100% sure. So we find out that he's been helping Samuel Adams in the rebellion against George Washington in Boston. And I gotta admit, it's a lot better than doing the Tea Party again, so kudos for them. Then, while doing all that, we decide to go for another sky journey in order to get a new animal spirit. And once again, I really love how they do testing ourselves with the animal spirits. With the wolves, we had to hunt down an elk and feed the wolf pack. And this one, we get to fly like an eagle to the scene. And in this one, it's a little difficult. Well, not difficult, but just irritating to get 100%. So we gotta climb the high tree. And what is it? Yeah, we gotta climb the highest tree, and then we gotta go jump off and defend the eagle nest from the wild cats. In order to get 100%, you need to make sure no eggs are taken. So you really got to be on point. It's good just to wait for them to attack you and then counter. It's the easiest way to do it. And afterwards, we get the ability, and then we get the power to fly. Basically, when the indicator pops up on an area, we can do a quick fly. We can do a quick fly to get to the area. Makes climbing areas in order to survey the area a little less difficult. But once again, with the wolf invisibility, every time you do it, you lose a fraction of health, which is an okay drawback. I like how it's not too overpowered with the animal spirit, with the animal powers. So every time you do the power, you lose a little bit of health, and then you have to recharge. It makes having to plan out a lot easier. And then within that, we also do remember the sequence 3 of the actual game where we're the eagle and we gotta follow the eagle and avoid the terrain? Basically, we gotta do that again, just more annoying. Then afterwards, we have to get our equipment back using the power of the eagle and the wolf to kill all the people in the game, in the warehouse. One thing I really love how they added a second ability to the eagle is the dive bomb attack. So basically the same thing with the fly ability. Whenever we're in proximity to an opponent and it goes red, we just do dive bomb and we just go right to them, kill them, and then we can quickly get out with the fly ability. I love that. I love the eagle's ability. I really do love it. Then after getting out of the warehouse, we track down Ben Franklin, where we have to do the dive bomb on him. And honestly, with the eagle's flying ability, it doesn't make it that difficult to catch him really quickly. Because I believe another one of the constrictions for his mission is to get him within a certain amount of time. Which, again, with the eagle ability, it's not that difficult. Unfortunately, weirdly enough, we don't kill Franklin this time. What we do is we just wound him, and that brings him to his senses. And then for somehow, George Washington comes into his mind and tries to kill us. Remember in the first episode where we tried to beat him without any powers, and we obviously got our ass handed to us. This time when he creates the shockwave, we use the dive bomb ability to jump over it and attack him, which is beautifully done of how they addressed. Like, it's a good way for them to show us how we fight, how we could not have fought him in the first one, to how we can now. It's kind of that build-up that I really, really enjoy. And also, when he does the spheres to attack us, we obviously do the invisibility in order to get around him. It's a good, small boss fight. And then obviously, that's the whole story segment, and then, well, not the whole story segment, just the first half. And then we got stuff to do around Boston, such as wrong side. Let me see. We got 4 side missions to do. Obviously, we have to help the hungry again, rescue them from the guards, wolf rescue, which in Boston doesn't really make sense, and we have to release them from convoy. So basically the only new one is rescuing them from the soldiers. So yeah. Now in this DLC there are 9 missions, which I really enjoy rather than the 6 or 5 that we got in the first one. It keeps it a lengthier episode, which is good. So basically what we do is we meet Samuel Adams, we agree to help him and everything, and we have to get finding Ben Franklin in order for him to help us. He tells us of a key that can be made to get past King Washington's defenses when we get to New York, and doing so we have to kidnap a horse because it was used for a horseshoe by the blacksmith, who is Big Dave from the homestead. Once again, they do a bit to have the homestead characters be a part of the DLC, but they really only do it like to pepper them in just to make us say, hey, weren't you in the main story? And they don't really do that much with them. Also, within one mission, we have to gather information in a tavern that's surrounded by bluecoats, and we play checkers. And one of the things to do for the 100% in the mission is to collect 2 pieces by the conversation's end. So collect 2 of your opponent's checker pieces, which isn't difficult. I mean, all you gotta do is just set your board up and then sacrifice a piece every now and then so you can capture them. So it's pretty easy. And then later on, you get to rage quit and smack the guy's face with the checkerboard, which is beautifully done. I must admit, it was rage quit. And it literally says, press button to rage quit. Very good, Ubisoft. I wish they would do that more in certain games where we can actually rage quit on someone if we so desire. Oh my god, that would be an awesome achievement. Yeah, that would be great. Anyway, after finding out more about what happened during the main missions, we find out that, well, Sam Adams and Ganondokon had gone to the fort because they had an ally there. Turns out that was a ruse by Putnam. After we investigate and after we rage quit in the bluecoats, rage quit the checkerboard into the bluecoats' face, we go investigate, and then we get the cutscene of what happened. And I gotta admit, it's freaking brutal. We just see Putnam bashing Sam Adams' face in with the gun, and I gotta admit, it is monstrous and terrifying of that. Then we free the Aquila by unchaining it, and we find Mr. Faulkner, our co-captain from the original. I like how they brought him back. And then it's off to New York, where we go to the pier, where we go to the harbor, and fend off as many people as we can, which is always a good time. And then Putnam has Ganondokon at gunpoint. And the secret here is to kill him with an animal power. No kidding. Anyone who didn't do that, I'm sorry. It's your own fault. You could have used the wolves, but everyone likes to. But a lot of people love to do the eagle to dive bomb him and just strike him. And then we obviously get the death scene with him, where he says that he's done terrible things. Washington was controlling him, but it doesn't excuse what he did. And then he exclaims something that's really cryptic. Every man holds a bit of darkness in them. And it only takes the apple to bring it out more. Which, I gotta admit, that is true. Everyone can hold darkness in them. It just takes the right thing to bring it out more. And then afterwards, we're setting sail, and then we see New York, and we see a colossal pyramid in New York City. Yeah. And that will be explained in the third episode. Now, once again, I am going through the lucid memory fragments that are in this episode. Much like in the first one, we got 3, and then it leads us to a location, which gives us a cutscene. And the location for this one is at the top of a ship, where we can't really use, where we gotta swim a good majority, and then use the Eagle's flight to get up. So the lucid memory fragments are of Achilles meeting him for the first time, meeting Stefan, our first assassin recruit that was in Boston, and when we were young at the Boston Massacre. It's got the rifle there. It's got Stefan's butcher knife. It's got Achilles' hat. And then when we watch the sequence, Washington comes to Connor, how he's been having these vivid dreams about everything that's happening within the DLC, and that it's all happening because of the apple, and that's when it cuts. So that's the DLC review. This, again, with 9 missions, 4 side missions to do, and the 4 lucid memory fragments to do, plus traveling 1 kilometer with the Eagle. Also, this DLC is about 2.5 hours long, which honestly isn't that bad. But it's done really well. And also, unlike the DLC reviews I'll be doing for the Origins and Odyssey, this one only takes place during Boston, where the other ones take place in the entire open world. I do like how they keep each of the DLCs here in their own respective locations. I really enjoy that, because it limits on how confusing it can be and how much you have to go through in each episode. So, being a great episode, giving us a better ability with the Eagle, with the flying, the dive bomb, creating a little bit more kinship with him and Gun and Dokon during this. A little bit. It doesn't do it a lot. Nothing really more is explained more, but it's just going through the motions until episode 3. So, for my DLC review, I'm going to give the Betrayal an 8 out of 10. Whereas the first one definitely got a 7. After replaying it after so many years, I found out that the final mission of the first episode has a little glitch where you can't really go forward, and that it was a little irritating not being able to complete it, because oh boy, it was frustrating. But doing the DLCs again was really fun. So this one definitely gets an 8 because of the originality of the whole story of how to progress in Boston and making our way to New York in order to stop the tyrant. So again, the powers, the story in it, and just the overall appeal of having Boston be in this disarray, it's well done. So that's it for this leak, ladies and gentlemen. Like, comment, subscribe down below. And coming up next week, another elementary video game review of one of my favorite detectives. This is Gamer K, logging out.